today's throwback, we're having a look at the McFarlane Toys Movie Maniacs Series 4, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger. At least, I think this is a throwback. I'm pretty sure Spot's had a look at this guy before. I know I've had a look at the original Freddy Krueger. This is not necessarily a re-release, but a second outing from the folks over at McFarlane Toys. We are going to be having a look at Freddy Krueger in all his glory. A much better version of Freddy Krueger, but I still have a soft spot for the original release of him. He comes with his fedora. He comes also with a display stand, something that I really miss from action figures nowadays. And he also comes with like a little miniature poster. One thing you probably notice about the packaging itself is the blister or the card bubble on the front here has become rather yellow. And that's unfortunately something that's happened with a lot of these figure releases. The type of plastic that they've used for the bubble is very prone to yellowing. In fact, if I still had a lot of my Movie Maniacs, having them in front of the sun, these would yellow very, very badly. This one isn't as bad as it could have been, but it's still noticeably yellow. Up at the top left-hand corner, you see Freddy Krueger there. That's actually an image of the Freddy Krueger from the figure itself, not from the movie. Spin around the back of the package. Other figures available from Series 4. This actually was a pretty good series. Candyman, one of my favorite figures still to this day. 2 T800s, 2 T1000. Actually, I think that's, yeah, 2 T1000s. Of course, then you also had Evil Ash and the Blair Witch, which came in 2 variations as well. Also available was motion-activated 18-inch Ash and Leatherface, and of course, one cannot overlook the very impressive, very expensive now, Jaws Movie Maniacs 4 box set, which I never got a chance to pick up, so kick myself over it. To check out more from and to set your time machine back, this would have been 2001. To check out more now, you can go to www.spawn.com. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look. Don't know if I've done this before. I might have. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger from Movie Maniacs Series 4. There's more heading away, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. It is to be noted, just before Spot has a look at this figure in this video, this throwback, it is actually a throwback. I went back. Sure enough, I had a look at this figure 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Just goes to show how long I've been doing this. 7 years ago. Wow. Okay, so, by the way, I couldn't find my other Freddy Krueger, so ultimately I just opened up this one right here. So we're going to be looking at the new version from packaging. Let's have a look at the accessory that first comes included with Freddy Krueger, and that is a Movie Maniacs display stand poster holder. The front features the original poster artwork from the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. There also is this little extra piece right here, which if you are wondering what that's for, that just pegs on the underside like that. It just gives you a little extra support. It doesn't sit very well in there. Yeah, it goes this way. It doesn't sit very well in there. It doesn't sit securely to the point where it seems to, oh, maybe there we go. There we go. It just gives you a little extra support. Where I wish the extra support could have been added is just by holding the area of the poster. The poster, as you can see, is very crudely glued into place. I didn't do that. That was actually the way it was manufactured. But there's nothing really protecting the back or the side of the posters. Movie Maniac releases, as you kind of look through the lines, this is series 4, it gets progressively shorter. This little placard, this little standee, it started as a full frame, and then it gets progressively less and less and less until finally it was just basically like a standee that held the poster in place. But this is no protection at all to protect the cardboard poster. It's just basically going to get progressively warped. If you store it away, it might get crumpled, or it might even actually come right off the stand. I love the stands. I just wish that they had finished the back off or something so that it was a little bit better protected. Still love these stands though. Love them. Just wish that they had put a little bit more emphasis on protecting the cardboard. All right, so let's have a look at Freddy Krueger, which unfortunately I can't get him to stand. Now, I did put him on a flat surface, and sure enough, he stood just fine. So once again, it's because fabric doesn't really stand the greatest on fabric. He does come with another accessory, that being his fedora. His fedora is blood-soaked, as well as this Freddy Krueger here is blood-soaked as well. They did do some variation, some variants really on the figures themselves, where some of them had blood soakings, some of them didn't. I don't know if Freddy Krueger was one of them, but he has blood all over his pants, all over his boots. Also some mud caked all over his boots as well. Lots of blood all over his blades, and some blood all over his top. Let's have a look at his face. Bring the camera in. There we go. There we go. It's okay. Bring it in. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's have a look at his face. Getting this close to a figure is not certainly something I could have accomplished in the older video 7 years ago. But let's have a look at the figure now. The face is good, although, again, it's not scanned. It's not a... Back in the day, basically, you had a sculptor that was sculpting him. To this day, you still have sculptors that are sculpting. Some of them go the route of scanning. Mattel does a lot of facial scanning. But this back in the day would have been just some person, some guy, some girl, sitting in front of a sculpting platform and sculpting out the head of Freddy. The end result is good. I mean, it's not accurate. The face is, how should I put it? Very wrinkly. Overly textured would also be a good word I would use. Very raisinish. That's not really a word, but you know where I'm going with this. The face is good. It reads Freddy, but it also reads excessively textured. I get it. They were trying to go with, highly detailed, but highly detailed in this case translates to just a very overly textured face. It's so textured, in fact, that things such as the eyes almost get lost amongst all the other busyness that the face has. All the open sores of his burns. Don't know how accurate I would necessarily say those are, certainly from taking the context of this being original Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy. But, they did what they did. I mean, these are older, much older figures versus what we are getting by today's standards. So for that reason, I do appreciate these, as these kind of are the grandfathers, I guess, to what you're collecting now as collectibles. You can kind of thank McFarlane Toys for really being the ones that set the benchmark when it came to horror collectibles. There really wasn't much on the market up to that point. So for that, I do have a soft spot for these. I do like the pose that they've given Freddy. Of course, he's always kind of lunging. I mean, it's a good gesture for how you would expect Freddy to be standing. A lot of the weight being put on his glove. Of course, the shoulders compensating for that weight. Robert Englund even discussed that in the Never Sleep Again documentary, where basically he said, he used the weight of the glove to throw off his posture and give everyone that iconic Freddy stance that, everybody knows to this day. He does have, of course, the fedora. We've already had a look at that, but let's put that onto Freddy's head. It adds a lot more to Freddy, I think, I would say, because, of course, it's more Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy. He wore less the fedora later into the series. I mean, he still wore the fedora, but, of course, you saw him a lot more often unfedora'd. But I think that's more iconic, I think, for original Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy. Also, devoid are the stripes on the sides of his sleeves, something else that a Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, would have had Freddy wearing. The greens and the reds, I feel, are a little too on the dark side. But other than that, again, I don't really have a lot of issues with the figure. The figure will obviously, in hand, in sight, will feel a little on the dated side, but that's the appeal for some of these old Movie Maniac figures. I haven't kept all of the ones that I had when I was a kid. I've got rid of a lot of them. I guess I really wasn't even a kid. I was probably in my early 20s. But I have got rid of a lot of them. Some of them I still hold on to, like the Candyman, the Ghostface, Jason, of course, the original Freddy, and this Freddy right here as well. When it comes to his posability, little on the limited side, I have to be honest. His head does rotate, but as you see, it rotates in an extremely awkward way. Because his head's already kind of angled down, facing down, looking down on you, that turning his head almost just defeats the purpose altogether, because you're not rotating in any natural way whatsoever that would, well, I don't think Freddy's going to really feel that all that comfortable. For that reason, they could have almost just kept the head completely staction, because you're really not accomplishing anything by having the head this way. Shoulders rotate all the way around, just really, really stiff. He does also have a rotation in the hand, actually more around the sleeve area. And this is again what I'm talking about with heavily sculpted hands. It looks like his hands are just melting off. Burn victim, yes, that would make sense. His hand is melting and peeling off, kind of like the guy from RoboCop. The toxic waste just melting, the skin just dripping off of his hand. But it looks a little too swollen for my liking. Again, older figure. The other arm does rotate. Not really all that much. His arm here also rotates as well. Everything on this figure is really stiff. You can bring the arm forward if it looks a little bit more to your liking. I might actually even just display him more so like this. I wish I still had my other Freddy. I wonder where I put him. But also, he does have a rotation in the glove area. The glove has some nice detailing to it. No real negatives when it comes to the glove other than excessively blood-soaked. He does have a waist swivel, again, just really, really on the stiff side. And he has swivel in the feet, or boots. Pegs on the undersides of his feet. I don't know what the intention was, whether they ever were going to come with display stands. You almost do have to wonder, when a figure comes with peg holes on the undersides of their feet, what are the manufacturers planning? Like, does McFarlane say to himself, well, you know what, let's put peg holes on the undersides of their feet, and maybe at the last minute opts not to include display stands. If they never intended display stands, why did they intend on putting peg holes on the undersides of their shoes? Makes you think. Speaking of making you think, fa. I don't know where I was going with that. I was just kind of making it fa. 7 years ago, I think I was going to say 5 years, but not 5 years. 7 years ago, I did a review on this guy. 7 years later, we're having a look at him again. Fa. I don't know where I was going with that. Today's throwback, though, we were throwing back to 7 years ago when Spot had a look at the first time, when we were having a look at the second release of Freddy Krueger from Movie Maniacs and McFarlane Toys. Fa. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos. He is. More videos coming your way. As always, thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.